Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining our second in a series of sports nutrition. And the topic for this presentation is protein and fats. Thank you for joining. What we will cover is the role of protein, the needs, supplements, fat role, body fat percentages, recommended fats, and additional resources. Before we start, I do need to highlight that the guidelines in this presentation are for athletes and people who seriously exercise for more than an hour, usually training for some sort of an event. So let's begin. Let's start by talking about an important concept in protein metabolism called protein turnover. Your body's constantly making protein and breaking it down, and this is called protein turnover. So protein is made from its building blocks, which are amino acids. When making proteins, which is called protein synthesis, your body gets the amino acids it needs from the protein in your diet, or it recycles amino acids that were somewhere else inside your body. Now, after breaking down proteins, which is called protein degradation, the amino acids released can be recycled to build other proteins and used for energy or lost from the body. When there is more synthesis than degradation, your body goes into a state of anabolism, which means it builds lean tissue. When there's more degradation than synthesis, your body goes into a state called catabolism, which means you're losing lean tissue. Obviously, being in catabolism state is not favorable, and someone who wants to gain muscle mass to improve their performance, strength, or appearance would want to be in a state of anabolism. But for most people, being at a good balance is a good goal. So when your body makes protein, it doesn't just make muscles. Protein is needed for your hair, your nails, to make hormones, to maintain immunity function and replace red blood cells. These roles of protein are necessary for everyone, not just athletes. But for athletes and people who exercise at high intensities frequently, protein has additional roles. When you exercise your muscles, protein tissue breaks down and some muscle damage occurs. To compensate for the loss or the broken down tissues, you need to ensure that your body's getting adequate protein so that it can repair these muscles. Additional to repairing any damage that occurred to existing muscle tissue, protein helps your muscles build new tissue. And this is critical for people who want to increase their lean mass. Keep in mind, though, that excessive amounts of protein in your diet, more than your body needs, does not build muscle. What builds muscle is exercise and working those muscles. But carbohydrates and fat are the two major sources of fuel for exercise. However, proteins can be used for energy in some cases. One case is when an athlete doesn't consume adequate carbohydrates or adequate calories in whole in an attempt to lose weight. The body will use protein for energy and will sacrifice other functions such as muscle repair. Protein needs in this situation become higher. The other case is an endurance athlete who's exercising for an extended period of time, over 90 minutes or so. And during endurance activity, your body uses carbohydrates to fuel muscles. But if the athlete fails to consume adequate carbohydrates during the exercise, the body starts breaking down muscle protein to use for energy. And you really want to try to avoid this. Our bodies have no place to store proteins or amino acids. Therefore, daily adequate protein intake is necessary. And if you eat too much one day, you can't store the extra protein for tomorrow. So surplus protein is actually converted to glycogen, which is a carbohydrate, or to fat. Now, because we lose amino acids constantly during protein turnover and we have no place to store them, we need to replenish them on a daily basis by eating protein-containing foods. But how do we know how much protein we need daily? Nitrogen balance method is used to determine that. It's based on finding out how much nitrogen gets in your body and how much nitrogen goes out. Nitrogen is an element that, in part, it's part of the structure of the amino acid, and that's part of the structure of proteins. So knowing how nitrogen moves in the body gives a measure of protein turnover. Nitrogen enters your body one way only, from the protein that you eat in your diet. In nitrogen balance studies, participants were given a set amount of protein in a 24-hour period. And this allowed researchers to calculate the exact amount of nitrogen that each participant consumed. Nitrogen leaves your body through many routes, mainly in your urine, but also in your stool, your sweat, hair, skin. In those nitrogen balance studies, participants also collected urine for the same 24-hour period of time, and the amount of nitrogen lost was measured. So now researchers knew how much nitrogen went in and how much came out. The resulting net balance can be positive, negative, or zero. There's a positive balance when more nitrogen gets into your body than out, a negative balance when more nitrogen is out than in, and a zero balance if the same amount of nitrogen that is taken in is lost. So since nitrogen balance reflects protein turnover, there's a positive protein balance at positive nitrogen balance, and so on. Now, however, this method of calculating protein needs has its limitation. While it does measure the minimal amount of protein that your body needs to make up for what it lost, this minimum amount might be different from what is optimal for building muscles and for your muscle repair. So how much protein do athletes need? Nitrogen balance studies have been done on various types of athletes to estimate their protein requirements. Both strength and endurance athletes need more protein than sedentary people, and this table lists the protein needs for the different types of sport activities and for athletes with special considerations. But protein needs are set on a gram per kilogram of body weight basis, just like carbohydrates were. And this means you have to convert your weight from pounds to kilograms. So again, divide your weight in pounds by 2.2, and that'll give you your weight in kilograms. So sedentary people need 0.8 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. For example, someone who weighs 60 kilograms needs 48 grams of protein a day. For endurance athletes, this need is between 1.2 and 1.6 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. Endurance activity is defined as an equivalent of running, say, 10 miles a day at 6-minute miles. Endurance athletes need extra protein because they train a lot, and they often use proteins and amino acids for energy. So someone who weighs 60 kilograms needs between 72 and 96 grams of protein a day. Strength athletes need between 1.6 and 1.7 grams of protein per kilograms of their body weight a day. And strength athletes are those that are engaged in heavy resistance training. And they need more protein because their muscles continue to make new protein tissue due to habitual training. So someone who weighs 60 kilograms needs 96 to 102 grams of protein a day. Athletes who restrict calories have a higher protein need because their bodies use it for energy. Extra protein is needed so enough can be used to repair and build muscle. The athletes falling into this group need between 1.8 to 2.0 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight, which is about 108 to 120 grams of protein for the entire day. Now, teenagers and high school athletes have higher needs because their bodies are in a state of growth, and you can see on the table what their needs are. But eating more than 2 grams of protein per kilogram is more than anyone could ever use. It really offers no benefit or advantage. And remember, because our bodies don't store protein. Note that during the first 3 to 6 months of training, athletes need more protein because they build lean muscle at an accelerated rate. With training, the body becomes more efficient at using protein, and trained athletes may need less protein grams per kilogram of their body weight. So early on in training, more, less as you become well-trained. Okay, so where do you get protein from? It's very easy to get the amount of protein that you need from food. In fact, Most athletes eat more anyways, and protein deficiency is rare. But protein is found in meat, chicken, poultry, fish. It's found in milk, yogurt, and yes, cheese for protein. Eggs are a really good source of protein, especially the egg whites. Nuts and nut butters have protein. Really any nuts, almonds, peanuts, walnuts, cashews, and so on. Beans and lentils are an excellent source of protein, plus they provide carbohydrates your body needs. Choose from a variety of beans, such as garbanzo beans, kidney beans, black beans, lima beans. And tofu is made of soybeans, which is a good source of protein. And tofu comes in different textures, so you can experiment with it to determine what you like, but it pretty much takes on the taste of whatever you're cooking it with. Okay, so now let's talk about protein and vegetarian diets. You can follow a vegetarian diet if that's what you choose to do and still consume an adequate amount of protein, as long as you plan your meals right and include high-protein plant foods often. So make your meals and snacks count by choosing high-protein foods all the time. Make lentils or beans sauce with your pasta instead of tomato sauce, bean dips instead of mayonnaise ones, sesame or poppy seed, whole grain bagels instead of plain. You can add soy milk to your fruit smoothies or flax seeds or nuts to your cereal. If you do consume dairy products, they can be the easiest way to add protein to your meals and your snacks. But vegetarian athletes may need an additional 10% of protein on top of the amount recommended for their sport. This is because plant proteins are less digestible than animal proteins, and the little extra will help to compensate for that. Now, you don't have to combine proteins at each and every meal. Your body has a pool of amino acids to pull from when needed, as long as you get all the amino acids throughout the course of the day and resupply this pool. But all athletes, especially female athletes, especially female endurance athletes, following vegetarian diets are at risk of developing iron anemia. Vegetarian iron is not absorbed as adequately as meat iron. So even if you consume the recommended daily amount of iron from plants, your body might not absorb it all. So don't take iron supplements, though, without medical supervision. They're highly dangerous due to the risk of iron accumulation in your body and toxicity. So talk to your doctor and ask for your iron level to be checked. He or she will recommend the right supplement and dose if you do need one. Because vitamin B12 can only be obtained from sources such as meat, vegetarian athletes might be deficient, especially those who don't consume dairy. So choose foods that are fortified with this vitamin whenever possible. It's best to consult with your doctor to get your vitamin B12 levels checked. And a multivitamin or mineral supplement can help you get an adequate daily amount. But if you are deficient, a special vitamin B12 supplement is necessary to get your level back up to where it needs to be. But either way, don't take supplements without medical supervision. If you have concerns, do talk to your doctor about it. Now, do you need to eat or drink protein right after exercise? Would it help with the recovery process? Well, there is some debate whether or not adding protein to the post-exercise carbohydrate snack boosts muscle glycogen recovery. Muscles use carbohydrates stored as glycogen to fuel. After an endurance activity, glycogen stores empty, so consuming high carbohydrate foods is important to replenish them. On one hand, protein stimulates insulin, the hormone that transports glucose into the cells, and the more glucose there is in the muscle, the more glycogen they can store. So on another hand, it might not be the addition of the protein, but rather the extra calories that are helping. But most experts believe that protein in the post-exercise snack does not affect glycogen synthesis or repletion as long as there's adequate carbohydrates and energy. If not, then proteins become more significant. But while protein may not help with glycogen, a snack that provides a small amount of protein helps boost muscle repair and synthesis of new muscle tissue after endurance or resistance exercise. So in fact, protein immediately before acute resistance exercise is more important then afterwards to stimulate muscles to make new protein tissue or gain more muscle mass. All right, so how much protein do you need for recovery? There's no evidence that you need a lot. Immediately after endurance activity, eat 0.1 to 0.2 grams of protein per kilogram of your body weight. For athletes who do acute resistance activity, consume the same amount either immediately before or immediately after your workout. But for someone who weighs 60 kilos, that's 6 to 12 grams of protein, which is an easy amount to get from a cup of low-fat chocolate milk or 2 ounces of cheese, so it's not a lot. After resistance training and supplying the amount of protein your muscles need, they experience a boost and they make a lot of new tissue. So this boost slows down after 1 to 2 hours after exercise. So eating that 0.1 to 0.2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight every 2 hours will actually bring that boost back up and optimize the muscle growth and build up. Actually eating small doses of protein repeatedly after exercise is more efficient in terms of muscle building than eating one excessive amount right after your workout. So, you know, several small protein snacks every couple hours after your workout. All right, protein supplements. Now, while some athletes are convinced that protein shakes and supplements are necessary, sports nutrition experts believe that the benefit of protein in supplements are no better than protein from real food. Protein shakes may be more convenient for some athletes who may not know how or may not have the time to prepare meals and snacks, but their cost is significantly higher. And protein shakes can be made from whey, casein, both which are milk proteins, or soy protein, or a combination. So there's no evidence that one type is better than another for gaining muscle mass. All protein powders are safe for athletes who don't have kidney or liver disease. So now let's talk about branched chain amino acids. These are the 3 amino acids, leucine, isoleucine, and valine. Their specific chemical structures give them this name. So these supplements might help improve the immune function and reduce muscle breakdown after exercise, but they do not delay fatigue and do not enhance athletic performance. Keep in mind that these branched chain amino acids are found in meat, chicken, fish, eggs, dairy, beans, peanuts, grains, mushrooms. So these are foods that athletes mostly eat. Supplements are safe for healthy athletes, but those taking medications or with chronic diseases should consult with a doctor, their physician, due to possible medical interactions. And glutamine is another amino acid supplement that's popular among athletes. And glutamine supplements have mixed results in clinical studies. There's some evidence that they improve the immune function that could get impaired after extended endurance activity. And impaired immunity increases the risk of upper respiratory tract infections. And also some studies show that supplements can decrease muscle damage and increase new muscle tissue synthesis. So glutamine, just like the BCAA, are found in foods most athletes eat regularly, such as beef, pork, chicken, dairy, eggs, and from vegetarian sources such as spinach, beans, cabbage, beets, parsley. But our bodies can make glutamine from other amino acids, which we get from real foods. So while supplements are found to be safe for healthy athletes, well-nourished athletes typically don't need them. Well, now let's move on to the second part of this presentation, which is about fat. Despite the bad connotation that initially comes when you hear the word fat, they are important for many functions in your body. Fats are the components of your cell walls. They help to maintain your cell structure and integrity. They're the building blocks for steroid hormones, such as the male and female hormones, testosterone and progesterone. Bile acids, which help with the absorption of fat-soluble vitamins and vitamin D. The fat tissue surrounding organs, such as the heart and liver, act as protective layers and protect your organs. And the fat tissue helps your body maintain temperature as well. The fat tissue in your body is an energy reservoir. While this might seem like a bad thing, having a reserve is necessary to fuel your body at times when other sources are not available. So for endurance athletes, fat tissue supplies energy during extended low to moderate intensity workouts. However, too much fat tissue is linked to inflammation, decreased insulin activity, metabolic syndrome, and other chronic diseases. Plus, fat tissue adds weight that slows you down. So you need to have some fat tissue in your body, but not too much. Athletes are often concerned about how much fat tissue there is in their bodies or their percent body fat. Because fat tissue adds weight without adding power, too much fat impairs performance. However, too low fat impairs natural functions of fat in your body and can have negative side effects. So for people who engage in substantial physical activity, these body fat percentages are recommended. Women have more fat than men due to the nature of preparing them for childbirth and its physical needs. Female athletes under age 55 should aim to have a body fat percentage of 16 to 28%. Female athletes over 55 should aim for 20 to 33%. Male athletes under age 55 would benefit from a percent body fat between 5 and 15%, and male athletes over 55 should aim for 7 to 18%. Now, the recommended fat percentages to maintain general health for people not engaged in serious exercise programs are higher than these. So what about the fats that we eat in our diets? Do they have specific roles? Yes, they do. Dietary fats are a source of concentrated energy. They help you get to the calorie level your body needs if your workouts are long, frequent, and intense. Your dietary fats are the medium in which some vitamins, vitamin A, E, D, and K, dissolve. You need some fat in your diet to be able to absorb these vitamins into your body. And dietary fat helps you feel full and satisfied. A little bit of fat can go a long way in preventing overeating and hunger. So what are the fat needs? How much fat do athletes need? The recommendation for athletes is the same as for non-active people. About 20 to 35% of your calories, your total calories, should come from fat. But again, another recommendation is 1 gram of fat per kilogram of your body weight. Keeping in mind that a balance of nutrients is necessary, so you need the carbohydrates and the protein as well. But aim to meet at least your minimum needs of carbohydrates and proteins first, and then the rest of your calories can come from fat. Now, most endurance athletes, such as runners and cyclists, consume diets that meet these needs. Athletes practicing sports where appearance is important, such as gymnastics or figure skating or dancing, they're at risk for not consuming enough fat. No performance benefits were found from diets with less than 15% of the calories coming from fat. In fact, very low fat diets cause lack of energy for endurance athletes, impaired menstruation in female, and low testosterone function in male athletes, deficiency in essential fats and fat-soluble vitamins, and decreased antioxidant capacity and bone health. So where can we get these, healthy fats that we need for our diet? Choose the healthy ones, the mono and polyunsaturated fats. These are found in nuts and seeds. Include a variety of nuts and nut butters. Think beyond peanut butter. Try almond and walnut or cashew butters. Seeds such as sunflower, pumpkin, sesame, flax seeds are good sources of these good fats. Try tahini, which is made from sesame seeds. Oils that are liquid at room temperature provide unsaturated fats, such as olive, canola, and peanut oils are monounsaturated fats, while corn, flaxseed, safflower, sunflower, soybean, grapeseed, and cotton oils are polyunsaturated. Use both types. Both are healthy. If you like margarine, choose tub margarines that are trans fat free. You want to avoid trans fats. They're the bad fats. Read the ingredient list and make sure that you don't see the words fully or partially hydrogenated vegetable oils. That's a clue that they're trans fats. Now, some margarines are fortified with omega-3 fatty acids, which might be a good addition to your diet, but also olives and avocados provide healthy fats, and fatty fish like salmon, tuna, trout, those kind of fish. They have the good, healthy omega-3 fats. So now, what fats do you want to limit? Well, limit fatty meats such as bacon, sausage, hot dogs, bologna, pastrami, salami, all of that processed stuff. The skin of chicken and poultry, it's all fat. Limit whole fat dairy such as whole milk fat, cheese, yogurt, sour cream, butter, ice cream, heavy cream, those types of things. Try to enjoy these in a lower fat version, or just stick to smaller portions. But also butter and lard have saturated fats. You want to limit that. And vegetable shortenings such as margarines and Crisco made with hydrogenated vegetable oils, again, contain trans fats, which you want to avoid. And then fried foods are a source of trans fats. So limit those as much as possible. Choose baked over fried, so baked potatoes over French fries, for example. Bake or grill your meats and fish, and bake, grill, steam vegetables, but avoid the fried snack foods. Okay, so fat pre and during exercise. Fats slow down the digestion process. So if you exercise while your body is still trying to digest food, the energy available will go to fuel the working muscles instead of digesting food. And this will leave you feeling sluggish or bloated or tired. Therefore, your pre-exercise meal up to 4 hours before exercise should be low in fat. Also, avoid eating anything high in fat during your workout. You need your carbohydrate foods to refuel your muscles, so make sure any cereal or energy bars, cookies, carbohydrate products that you're using are low in fat. Okay, so here are some additional resources for you to check out to learn more about what to eat for exercise. But just to kind of summarize what we covered, your body is in a constant state of making and breaking proteins. Because you lose some amino acids after your body breaks them down, you need to replenish them. Remember that you cannot store protein. Most athletes eat the amount of protein they need from high protein foods, even vegetarians, so no need for excessive intake of supplements. Remember that too much protein doesn't build muscle, but exercise does. And protein is important for recovery, not to fuel or refuel your glycogen, but to repair your muscles. So you only need a small amount. A scoop of protein powder is way more than you need. It's better to eat a small amount of protein every 2 hours after exercise than drinking that high protein shake once afterwards. And fat in your diet and fat tissue in your body does have important roles to play. Choose fats that supply the healthy fats and limit the foods that are high in saturated fats and contain trans fats. So we have covered a lot of information here today. I thank you for joining, and just a reminder that you can review the recording of the other webinars in this series, the one on carbohydrates and the one on hydration. And also remember that whatever your health goals are, your health coach is available to support you. And I thank you so much for joining and wish you a wonderful day.